A man in red, eyes without sight. He presents his neck. The woman then strikes. Disappointed, I crumble the paper slip and toss it onto my used dinner plate. Why did I expect anything different? I glance around the table, observing my family's delight as they laugh and exclaim over their fortune cookies. My sister reads hers aloud, something about luck and prosperity. My parents nod approvingly, of course they do. I smile faintly, masking the familiar twinge of irritation. 30 years. 3 decades since the moment I slid a quarter into that mechanical fortune teller's dusty slot. Summer afternoon at the Boardwalk Arcade. The clunky animatronic, a middle-aged woman dressed in gaudy purple silk, she clattered to life. Her painted lips parting as the prophecy emerged in her tinny voice. A man in red, eyes without sight. He presents his neck. The woman then strikes. The words slithered into my brain, carving grooves that deepened every time they echoed in my thoughts. Back then, the cryptic nature of the prophecy enchanted me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. What did it mean? Was it meant for me? But fascination quickly curdled into obsession. Obsession when it started appearing everywhere. Books I picked up on a whim, buried in a paragraph, there it was. TV shows I followed, a throwaway line in dialogue. Movies that seemed promising, a subplot barely noticeable. Always the same. A man in red struck down by a woman, his vulnerability sealed by the exposure of his neck. And afterwards, she'd receive her reward. Love, power, riches, whatever her heart desired. At first, it felt like serendipity. A cosmic sign, if you will. Surely, I was destined to fulfill this prophecy. But years passed, and nothing happened. Instead, the prophecy became a parasite. Horoscopes twisted it into riddles. Fortune cookies shoved it under my nose. Weekly emails from an unknown sender, each subject line containing the exact same words. I could swear the letters sometimes floated in my cereal. Was it real? Or was I just losing my grip? The repetition wasn't just maddening. It was personal. It felt as if the universe was taunting me with a joke I just couldn't understand. I just couldn't get the punchline. Things finally took a turn a few months ago. It was a Friday night. My co-worker Claire and I had just finished a grueling project and decided to celebrate with dinner. The steakhouse we chose was tucked into a corner of the downtown strip. A cozy spot with dim lighting and thick leather booths. We split a bottle of wine, ate our fill, and were waiting for the check when the restaurant owner appeared at our table. He was impeccably dressed, crimson suit, matching tie, polished red shoes. The sight of him sent a jolt through my chest. I froze, staring at his outstretched hand as he thanked us for visiting. My heart thundered in my ears. My throat went dry. A man in red. Now, before I could say or do anything, Claire's hand shot forward. Her steak knife plunged into his neck. The blade sank deep, right above his collarbone. The man's eyes widened in shock. He staggered back, his hands flying to the wound as blood gushed between his fingers. He collapsed, the crimson of his suit deepening as it soaked through with blood. "What the hell, Claire?" I screamed, shoving back my chair. Around us, the other diners screamed, glass shattered, and waitstaff rushed to the scene. Claire just sat there, grinning like she'd just won the lottery. "You thought you were the only one?" she said, her voice almost teasing. Her words hit me like a slap. "You idiot," I hissed. "A man in red, eyes without sight. Not tie bright white or whatever the hell you thought. He's supposed to be blind." Her grin faltered. A moment later, an off-duty police officer tackled her to the ground, pinning her arms behind her back. As she was dragged away, the weight of what had just happened crashed down upon me. If Claire had remembered the prophecy correctly, would she have succeeded? Would she be reveling in the rewards right now? Or was this all just a cruel game, rigged from the start? That night, I couldn't sleep. The memory of the man's crimson suit haunted me, a vivid splash of colour against the darkness of my bedroom. Claire's words echoed in my head, non-stop. "You thought you were the only one?" Now, months later, I'm no closer to understanding the prophecy's purpose, but it's taken on a new urgency. If Claire knew about it, who else does? How many others have received this maddening message, their lives warped by its promises and demands? The answer comes sooner than I expect. It was a Saturday afternoon when I decided to revisit the Boardwalk arcade where it all began. The place has changed over the years, but the fortune teller's booth remains tucked into the far corner, gathering dust. I drop a quarter into the slot, half expecting the machine to malfunction or just do nothing. But the animatronic jerks to life, her stiff fingers adjusting the folds of her gaudy silk robe. A man in red, eyes without sight. He presents his neck. The woman then strikes. The words send a shiver down my spine. But this time, the fortune teller doesn't stop. Her painted lips move again, and a new message emerges. "Not every prophecy is meant to be fulfilled by you." I stumble back, my heart racing. Before I can process what I've just heard, someone steps up beside me. "It's a hell of a thing, isn't it?" a voice says. I turn to see a man in his 40s, dressed in a plain hoodie and jeans. He nods at the fortune teller's booth, his expression unreadable. "You know about it?" I ask, my voice trembling. He laughs, a bitter, sad sound. "I've been chasing that damn prophecy for 20 years. You?" 30, I admitted. His smile fades. "Do you ever wonder if it's all a lie?" The question lingers between us. Before I can answer, he slips something into my hand. A business card with an address scrawled on the back. "There's a group of us," he says. "We meet every month. Maybe we can figure this out together." As he walks away, I stare at the card, my thoughts racing. For the first time in years, I feel something other than just pure frustration. The feeling, I realize, is hope. Maybe the prophecy isn't a curse. Maybe it's a puzzle, just waiting to be solved. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the cruelest joke the universe has ever played. The meeting's held in a dingy community centre, the kind with flickering fluorescent lights and folding chairs that creak ominously. About a dozen people are gathered, their faces a mix of exhaustion and determination. As we go round the circle sharing our stories, a pattern emerges. The prophecy doesn't just repeat itself, it adapts. Details change. The man's clothing shifts from crimson suits to scarlet robes to faded red flannel. The woman's weapon varies, a knife, a pair of scissors, even a shard of broken glass. But the core elements, well, they all remain the same. It's like a virus, someone says, spreading from person to person, infecting us with obsession. Or a test, another counters. Maybe it's meant to see who's worthy. Myself, I remain silent, my thoughts swirling. As the meeting ends, the man who invited me, turns out his name's Mark, he pulled me aside. "I think I found him," he said. "The real man in red." My heart leapt. "Where?" He hesitated and he said, "It's risky, but if you're serious about this, meet me tomorrow. I'll explain everything." That night, I dream of the prophecy again. But this time, the man in red turns to face me. His eyes are blank, unseeing. "What are you waiting for?" he whispers. When I wake, I'm trembling. For the first time, I feel the weight of what I might be about to do. And I wonder, when the prophecy is fulfilled, will it bring answers or just more questions? Tomorrow? I guess I'll find out.